ownership is still an aspiration among a majority of Nigerians. Millions of Nigerians struggle for affordable housing for many low-income Nigerian families, especially those with children. Once the bare essentials are paid, such as for house rent and basic food and clothing, the paycheck is gone. There is nothing left to go towards saving for better shelter or better life. Affordable housing becomes a key issue when a majority of the population is not able to buy houses at the market price. It is therefore the responsibility of the government, public and private sector to cater to the rising demand for affordable housing. This is Housing Development with your housing diva, Flora Ani. Let's see the trending news in the housing sector. I will be back in a moment.
A recent report from the Building Collapse Prevention Guild reveals that Nigeria experienced about 604 building collapses between 1974 and May 30, 2024. Lagos State was the hardest hit, accounting for 57.28% of these incidents, with over 346 collapses in the last 50 years. Following Lagos, Anambra reported 3.98% of the collapses, Abuja 3.65%, and Oyo 3.48%. In 2022, states like Taraba, Bayelsa, Gombe, and Yobe reported their first collapses, while others such as Zamfara, Taraba, Yobe, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Sokoto, Gombe, Katsina, and Kebbi each recorded just one collapse. The data highlights the widespread issue of building collapses in Nigeria, impacting both urban and rural areas across the country. Africa's largest housing and construction exhibition and conference, the Africa International Housing Show, is set to take place in a larger venue than the International Conference Center, ICC, in Abuja, Nigeria. Some of the reasons the Africa International Housing Show, AIHS, must move to a larger venue include rapid growth in participation, space limitations at the current venue, ICC, an opportunity presented by the closure of the ICC for renovations, the necessity for enhanced facilities, and the aim to ensure smooth operations and accessibility for all attendees. Over the years, the AIHS has experienced rapid growth, evolving from just 20 exhibitors to now accommodating over 400 exhibitors as of the latest count in 2023. This surge in participation reflects the increasing interest and investment in Africa's housing and construction sector. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, has launched 7 loan recovery task teams to address non-performing loans. These teams will work across Nigeria's geopolitical zones and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, to sustain the bank's lending operations. The Managing Director, FMBN, Shehu Osidi, stressed the need for a new approach to loan recovery. He highlighted that the effective recovery is crucial for providing affordable housing finance to Nigerians. Osidi acknowledged the challenge of non-performing loans and emphasized the importance of internal efficiency. He expressed confidence in the task team's ability to improve recovery rates, praising their expertise and dedication.
For full details of the news, do well to visit www.africanhousingnews.com. According to the Center for Affordable Housing Finance in Africa, the cheapest newly built house by a developer in Nigeria is approximately $10,000 US. So it is estimated that only about 9.7% of urban households in Nigeria can afford the cheapest house. Now let's feel the pulse of some Nigerians as they speak on ways government can assist in making low-income earners homeowners on Voices on the Streets.
if they can have a kind of particular areas in Abuja that this place should be designed for local inners, so that at the end of the day there won't be demolition.
In terms of housing, so a lot more needs to be done to uplift Nigerian standard of living as regards housing. Now there's a big problem when it comes to this issue of providing houses for low-income earners in Nigeria, because at the end of the day, it's those who are well-to-do who come over and buy these houses, meaning that the people whom these houses are meant for, at the end of the day, do not enjoy them because the cost is not actually that low.
It's bad because before you find a civil servant today, a government who called himself a government worker that is not a businessman, to put up a roof over his head, at least you're supposed to, at least, let's say, you steal for somewhere. Because if you are basing on the salary, you don't have it. At least if government can do this for the low-carding people, are you getting me right? Down. Maybe for now, maybe about that kind of 12 to 13 years for you be going. Then you have about 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom. They start remitting from your money to where you go. At least it's better.
Look at what Federal Housing Authority is doing. We are not even hearing much. We are not hearing much about them. Even Federal Mortgage Bank, they are not doing enough. They may be working, but the Nigerians are not feeling what they are doing.
If you go to Libya government makes houses. If you are transferring today to this state, there are houses. All you need to do is to present your transfer letter, show your identity, government allocate houses. If you are leaving, other people are coming to this side, other people are going to this side. So government has responsibility. The responsibility of government is to cater for its citizens. And government need to make those things. If government can make all these housing schemes, affordable, whereby all these, banks come up, build houses, make all these things, compile those estate developers to build affordable houses.
Low-cost housing. Low-cost housing, because in other places they used to do it. In Lagos, because when I was in Lagos about 30 years ago, there was this low-cost housing scheme. So you can have your own house, and you'll be paying gradually before the house will not become your own.
If our leaders are willing, starting from the president down to his cabinet and so on and so forth, if they are really willing, it's possible. Yes, I'm aware that a launch, the build of some estate and so on and so forth, maybe for civil servants. What about those who are not civil servants? So actually, if there is a will towards that, then it's achievable.
My name's Robert Hornsby with American Home Builders of West Africa. Keep watching Housing Development Program.
Voices on the street there. The greater percentage of the average Nigerian cannot afford adequate housing, while others pay not just over 30%, but over 50% of their monthly income on housing, which is cost burden. This has adverse effects on their standard of living, as what is left is insufficient to cater for other needs such as clothing, food and medical bills, and a whole lot more. Where those in the low-income group can afford to own a house, it would definitely reduce the rate of homelessness in the society, as well as a huge housing deficit. Let's take a short break. Stay with Housing Development. You're watching Housing Development. Access to low-cost housing is more difficult for millions of Nigerians. For years, Nigerian authorities have been pledging to address the issue of providing affordable low-cost houses, but without much result. How can more low-income earners become homeowners? What strategies should the government put in place to provide decent and affordable housing for all? Let's find out from this report.
Affordable housing is a basic need of man. World Health Organization defines housing as a residential environment which includes, in addition to the physical structure that man uses for shelter, all necessary services, facilities, equipment and devices needed for the physical, mental and social well-being of the family. Housing may be considered affordable if its rent or mortgage is below 30% of that household's income. In Nigeria, minimum wage is estimated at 30,000, which is not sufficient to meet the basic needs of an average family, as inflation keeps rocking the world. Families who can barely survive cannot afford to purchase a home. Home ownership in Nigeria is below average compared to other countries' estimated home ownership. Speaking to some experts on housing projects and delivery about the possibility of an average Nigerian owning a home, they gave their views.
Affordable housing for the low income, that's a very good one. And classifying it for the low income must be driven by the government. I will call it, instead of affordable housing for low income, I will say social housing. Anywhere in the world, social housing is driven by the government. Otherwise, there is no way low income can own their own structure.
When you're talking of affordable housing, you have to consider local building materials, because most times the affordability of a house actually depends on the materials that are being used for construction.
On what strategies government can put in place to fulfill its promises in providing affordable housing for Nigerians, they said.
The critical area where government should do is to provide land. Very critical. They must provide land for building and also infrastructure. Now, if, for instance, there's a piece of land where government proposes to build houses for the less income earners, and there's no infrastructure on those lands. We don't have mechanical infrastructures, we don't have electrical infrastructures on those lands. It becomes a problem.
Government can provide service land designated for social housing. Say this land, let them put water, put road, put electricity there. It will reduce the cost dramatically. That's one. Make loans available for the unbankables. The unbankable, there are some unbankables. The poor, the middle poor, the upper poor, the lower middle, the middle. Some of them are bankable, some of them are unbankable. And so you make loan available that they can pay in their lifetime that will not impact on their living.
If government could implement housing policies with strict adherence to executing them, low and medium income earners who make up a greater number of the country's population would be able to afford a home and create legacies which will impact generations to come.
Addressing the housing challenges in Nigeria will not only affect housing delivery positively, but will also yield national benefits. I'll be back shortly.
Let's go.
Huh? What is it again?
Oga, and they drive this car, my mind no dey. My landlord is on my neck.
Your landlord again? I thought I have told you this before. Get a mortgage, register with NHF scheme, and get a home up front. What is so difficult about this?
Oga, I will do just that. See, I will shame that my landlord. Mortgage.
At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, everyone deserves a home.
Welcome back. The program is Housing Development. It is countdown to the 18th Africa International Housing Show, a unique one-stop event for construction industry stakeholders, real estate developers, furniture companies, home decor and technology, manufacturers as well as suppliers, building material manufacturers as well as suppliers. Africa International Housing Show is the largest exhibition and conference in Africa. Now here are testimonials from the exhibitors that attended the last AIHS.
The show is wonderful, it's fantastic. You know, I joined this show since 2008, the number 13. You know, because the ECOWAS, COVID-19 days is one term, 2020 they terminate one. And now, and every year, and because the invitation, and we came here to join this AIHS. I think it's good for our company to show our company the culture, even show our people the ability, even our target, our dream.
And this is the best platform to show our product, show our thinking goals of organization. And it is also help our organization or company to collaborate with others company. So I think so this is the best platform.
Don't miss out on this opportunity to network, collaborate, and drive positive change in the housing sector across Africa. Save the date for AIHS, where opportunity meets innovation. Register and book a stand today at Africa International Housing Show, coming up this July.
The proliferation of asset developers who see housing estate as another gold mine has led to numerous issues, from substandard housing to fraudulent practices that exploit unsuspecting buyers. Against this backdrop, the Executive Director of Housing Development Advocacy Network is calling for urgent regulation and certification in the real estate sector. Take a listen.
The proliferation of estate developers should be a blessing. However, it has become a cankerworm that is gradually eating deep into the fibers of our communities. This uncontrolled growth has led to numerous issues, from substandard housing to fraudulent practices that exploit unsuspecting buyers. The Housing Development Advocacy Network, HDAN, has recognized these pressing concerns and is calling for urgent regulation and certification in the real estate sector.
Estate development, proliferation, I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with the one I mentioned to you because in the recent time, due to lack of regulation, the business of real estate development has now been taken over by criminals, quack, fake people who don't even have office of their own. They go around with flyers, putting it on social media, some on billboard, because there's nobody regulating it. Forgetting, you cannot put any billboard of any drug products, of any drug products, without the approval of NAFDAC. So, proliferation of estate developers is not helping our system. Instead, it's making our people to be duped, both those in Nigeria and those outside the country. I can inform you that I get reports on a daily basis of people reporting that they paid 35 million for a particular land somewhere. 4 years after that, they've not even seen the land. And in fact, some even came that even after paying the money, they could not locate the developer again.
HDAN believes that implementing strict guidelines and mandatory certification for all developers will ensure quality, transparency, and trust in the housing market. According to the group's executive director, it is time to transform the housing market into a beacon of hope rather than a source of worry.
There must be government might to get them to play the game according to the rule, in line to the rule. So, proliferation of estate developers wouldn't have been a crime if there's regulation, if there's certification. We need somebody to certify them. We need somebody to give them numbers so that when there's a crime or when there's a complaint, we know the way who to follow up. We have many professional bodies in Nigeria, Society of Engineers, Nigerian Institution of Officers of Bills and Valuers, and when any of their members commit a crime, you trace them, track them through their certification, through their numbers, through the national body. So, proliferation of estate developers supposed to be to help us to increase the housing stock, but instead, it's now becoming a problem that is depriving people of their hard-earned resources.
By advocating for these regulations, HDAN seeks to protect home buyers, enhance the credibility of reputable developers, and foster a more robust and reliable real estate industry.
Where would you be? Over 400 real estate companies, 50 home interiors and building materials will be under one roof. Homes are available for all categories of income. Discounted sales on home interiors and others. Visit Abuja International Housing Show Pavilion, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. Don't miss out.
Quality and decent housing for all Nigerians is a right and not a privilege. Therefore, there is a need for the government to evolve an effective housing policy which will guarantee more affordable houses to the low-income earners. What is the pride of a government when the masses cannot own a house? Well, that is it on today's episode of Housing Development. Thanks for watching. I remain Fleur Ani, your housing diva. See you soon.